It has been quite a winter, and if you have not gotten hit, you're very lucky. I truly believe that getting the flu vaccines and getting the COVID vaccines does help make it a little bit quicker, but we're still seeing it coming with a vengeance, and super important whenever we're sick with anything, especially with a stomach virus. Norovirus was really going around this year. Anything with fever, even if we just have a cold and we're just very congested and have headaches, it's really important that we stay hydrated. Sometimes just drinking plain water, and if we just drink so much of it, it gets a little bit boring, and that's totally fine. And sometimes we really lose our taste for it. And I know for me, just during pregnancy, I was very nauseous, and people who are experiencing norovirus or get food poisoning or anything and they get really nauseous, water just almost makes it worse for them. So we need to really come up with other ways to stay hydrated. So sometimes it's adding and infusing our water with berries or some other really great suggestions. I really try to tell people to avoid like sports drinks like Gatorade, Powerade, things like that. Sometimes we really do need that extra sugar. If we've had a stomach virus for like 24 hours and like have no energy to get up, and the only thing that we really can handle and really can stomach, and sometimes we really do need those electrolytes. We do need a little bit of that sugar to help kind of like just get us up. So I would say definitely go get yourself a Gatorade or any sort of those power drinks. But that wouldn't be like my first thing to go to when we're sick. Soup, broth, those are also things to keep us hydrated. Popsicles, they make for kids when they're sick, those Pedialyte popsicles. I use them when I'm sick. I buy Pedialyte popsicles. You can find them at Target. You can find them at Costco. Put them in your freezer. And if you're sick and you can't stomach really anything else, have a few of those popsicles. It's a really good way to keep us hydrated as well. It doesn't need to just be water. Let's get creative with it. Whatever we can stomach, especially again, if we have fever, we really need to make sure we're staying hydrated to help lower our body temperature. So just make sure we're staying hydrated no matter with what it is. Water is obviously great. Making those waters of the week or infused waters are great, but really whatever we can to stay hydrated to help us get through those illnesses is the most important.
I'm going to show you how to make a homemade ginger ale, and then I have a salad following up from that. So I have some fresh ginger here and I have some water boiling. I'm going to peel the ginger. There's two ways to peel. You can do it with a peeler, or you can actually do it on the back of a spoon or the front of a spoon, whatever you want. And you see how you just scrape that away. And then we're just going to do it in slices after. Ginger is actually a little tricky sometimes. You can get some tricky little parts in it. So going with like a knife and that is actually a little tricky. So let me just briefly cut this up, and then I'm going to throw it in the water. I'm going to let that boil for about 15-20 minutes, and you can taste it and you can feel like the ginger. It's a little spicy.
It also has the side effect of making your house smell really nice.
Really lovely. So I'm going to place that in there. And then I like to add a little bit of lemon to my ginger ale. So I do it from here. I'm just going to add some lemon to the water. And like I said, I'm going to boil that for a while. It'll start turning colour. If you don't like it sweet, you don't have to add this. I really don't care for it to be too sweet, but I'm just going to put a tiny touch of honey in it just to sweeten it. I'm going to put it directly in there, and then they can just stir it up after. Do half of this, because this is actually really strong ginger water. I made this earlier this morning. And just so I get all the little bits. And then to finish it off, I have my sparkling water. And it's so much better. Let me just give it a quick stir.
I love the lemon in there too. That sounds like a really good addition.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, it's really yummy. And it tastes just like ginger ale. You've got the spark, the taste of the ginger, and it's a lot healthier than the ginger ale in the can.
And you're adjusting the sugar to your own taste without it just being packed full of sugar.
Yep, so that's the ginger ale. And the next thing I have up is I have a sauerkraut salad, and I'm going to do this in front of you. So I have some avocados cut up, and we have our fermented cabbage. That is what sauerkraut is. And we was talking about pickled cabbage last week. This is fermented, and this is actually really good for gut health.
Good foods are great for the gut.
I actually got some pumpkin seeds here and some walnuts. Walnuts are very good for the brain. They're shaped like the brain, and they're good for the brain.
Well, nuts and seeds in general have healthy fats, so it's a good extra way to get healthy fats. It has vitamin E, so just a ton of good vitamins, minerals, and healthy fats.
Now I have some beets here. I'm going to grate the beets in. This is like a really nice creamy salad, like with the avocado, the beets. I have a goat cheese. Obviously, you don't need to have a cheese if you don't want, you don't eat cheese. I get it. between the beets and the avocado and the sauerkraut. It makes it very creamy and very good. It's baby arugula. That was the
Okay.
main ingredient, but I did have some spinach that I added to it and some regular leafy greens. So the recipe that I saw, it did say baby arugula, but I just figured I put everything in mine, you know, I do everything. I'm going to add some blueberries and some red onion, not too much red onion. And then I have the little bit of goat cheese. My nuts are nearly done here.
I think they make vegan goat cheese too
They
now.
do. There
Yeah.
is vegan everything now.
So I'm going to put half a lemon in here. I'm going to do it directly on the salad. I'm not going to do it separate, and I'll mix it all in the bowl at once. So I have half a lemon here. It's a very small lemon, and I have quite a big salad, so I might just go for the second one. Then we're going to do a couple of spoons of the good olive oil. 1, 2, some black pepper. Actually have a little bit of maple syrup in this, just a tiny bit, just to take off the edge. And then I have my nuts that I toasted off, my nuts in the sizzling.
It's amazing how delicious nuts can be when you just toast them a little bit. I mean, they're delicious.
I totally
anyway, but
agree.
Those,
Yeah.
No, I don't
Yeah.
love them not toasted.
raw.
yeah, I don't either. You know what? They're so much more crunchier than like
Mhm.
you can let it sit for a few minutes before you eat it, just so everything gets really in there. I haven't tossed this one, but just so you can see
Oh,
basically
so
what goes
pretty.
in there. And then my water of the week is actually strawberries and blueberries this week. Of
Perfect.
course, my ginger ale.
Oh my
Okay,
gosh, I love
looks
that, Jan. That
great.
is so lovely.
I'm making a pesto, but I'm not making a traditional pesto. I am using basil, which is in a traditional pesto, but I'm also using frozen peas. As you guys know, I love showing you guys ways how to use like shelf stable or frozen vegetables. And this is a really great way to use frozen peas. I happen to really love frozen peas, and I happen to love peas in pesto. I think it gives a little bit of a nice flavor. It gives like almost a nutty flavor. I'm also not making this traditional in the sense that there's no cheese. I'm using nutritional yeast to give like that nutty cheesy flavor. And then I'm actually using tahini, which you guys know I love. Great way to add some healthy fat, some protein into the pesto. So that's going to give it some creaminess. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put in a cup of peas. I have my frozen peas. You want to let them thaw. They don't have to completely thaw, but just mostly thawed. So I have my frozen peas in there. Then I'm going to take my basil, like about a quarter of a cup. You can use a little more or a little less. So I have about a quarter of a cup of basil in there. And then I have 2 cloves of garlic. So I have my 2 cloves of garlic in there. And then I'm going to put in a little bit of nutritional yeast. And again, that's going to give that like nutty, cheesy flavor without using Parmesan cheese, which we would put in traditional pesto. Already I smell that, and it smells so good already. So now you also might want to take like a spoon just to like kind of get anything in there that you need to. And again, I don't have any olive oil or anything in here yet. So this is all just grinded up like peas and the garlic. It smells so good already, and I don't even have any olive oil or anything in here. So now I'm going to take off that little top part, and while this goes on, I'm going to just pour in my olive oil. That's going to help make it like a nice creamy pesto. Then give it that pesto consistency. I totally eyeball the olive oil. You can add as much and as little as you want, but you're gonna start seeing it to the lighter green, and that's exactly what you're looking for. I'm actually just gonna take my spoon and just bring some of this down. But you're looking for, you see it's like already starting to get super, super creamy from just the olive oil, but you kind of eyeball it. You also can add some water in there, but first you want to get from that dark green to that light green. I'm gonna add a little bit more olive oil in there. Get a little bit more olive oil in there. I think I'm at a really good consistency right now. And then I'm gonna actually add a little bit of water. Don't add more than like a tablespoon of water at a time, because you can add, you can't take away. So we don't add too much water. The olive oil, it's not gonna give it too much of a watery consistency. It's just gonna keep making it creamier. The water can in fact make it watery. So we don't wanna do too much. So I'm gonna add about a tablespoon of water. I'm gonna show you what it looks like with the spoon.
It's a really pretty color too.
It's a really nice consistency. It smells absolutely delicious. The only thing I forgot to add in here actually, which I'm gonna do quickly, is a little bit of lemon juice. You don't need the lemon juice, If you are gonna use the lemon juice, I wouldn't use more than half of a lemon because it makes it too lemony. I'm just gonna let that mix for like another 2 seconds. Let that mix, put that all together. It smells delicious even with food processor closed. This looks so
Oh,
good.
so pretty.
I didn't even add the tahini in yet. I'm not gonna do it because I think this is at a good creamy consistency for me. You can add it though. It definitely will give it a little bit of a creamier consistency. But what I am gonna do now is just add a little bit of salt and pepper because I like to do that at the end. Add some salt and pepper, and then we're gonna mix this with our pasta. You can heat this up on a stove if you want before you put it in the pasta. I'm gonna put it right on the pasta here and later heat it up if I need to. I'm gonna pour that onto my pasta. Then I always like to use gloves to mix my pasta just because evenly coat it. It smells so good, I can't even tell you. Really great way to use frozen peas. It really elevates the pesto a bit. Again,
Yes.
pesto's not the prettiest, but it's delicious.